Yeah, by default, the result set moves only in the forward direction. It cannot come to the previous record or the first record. So if you want to enable that movement of record set or the result set, you will have to uh, make it scrollable. To make it scrollable, in the create statement method, while creating prepared statement, we have to pass this uh, property or the constant called as type underscore scroll underscore insensitive or sensitive. Then if you want the result set to be updatable, by default the result set is just read only. Whatever changes you will do to the result set, it will not get updated in the result set. If you want it to be updatable, then you have to make it updatable by passing this property again in the same way in the create statement method. So here we have shown the example how the statement object is created. At the time of create statement itself, we have passed these two constants which belong to the result set object, result set dot type underscore scroll underscore insensitive, and then comma result set dot concurrent updatable. That means it becomes updatable. So this we had seen. We had also seen a simple program. uh, no, we did not see the program, but anyway, it will not be asked in detail, so this much is sufficient for you. Now let us, last time I had also quickly told you at the end of the class about the methods of the result set. So once the result set becomes scrollable and updatable, we can make use of these methods. One method we have already used, that is get and the data type. This method is used to get the value from the specified column. So in a program, we have used this get method like this. We have used get and the data type. Suppose we have tried to get the varchar value, get string, and then we used to pass the index of the column. That means the number of the column. It specifies which is the column number. So this is one of the what you can say overloaded method, wherein it will accept the column number, but instead of column number you can even pass the column name. For example, if you want to get from the employee result set, if you want to get the value of the name, so you can pass it like this also. So what you can do in our journal program, wherever we have given one, I'm sorry, wherever we have given get string 1 and then we have given get string 2. So there you can give the column names as name or phone number. So you can try that. So here the syntax is given as per the column name. So this is the method get, and xxx indicates the data type. Depending on the data type, the value should be passed. Then here also, in fact, instead of this, I should write it as xxx, because if this is integer, I'll have to pass the integer. Yeah, nahi. This should be string only because the column name is in the form of string. Yes, I'm sorry. Then next, if you want to move to the next record, so rs.next, we have used even this method in a loop. Then if you want to move to the previous record, we will say rs.previous. If you want to move to the very first record, we can say rs.first. Similarly, we can use last. Then suppose if you want to move to the 10th record or 15th record. So this is called as the absolute position, the fixed position. Then in that case, you can say rs.absolute and you can specify the number of the record here. For example, if you want to go to 15th, you will say rs.absolute and then 15, it will take you to the 15th record. So similarly, there is a relative method. Relative indicates from your current position where you want to go. If you want to go forward, then you have to say 2. So relative will take you in the result set forward. So from the current record, it will take next to next record. It will show you. If you want to go to the previous, you will have to pass the negative number here. So relative in the backward direction, to take it in the backward direction, you have to pass the negative value. This is how the cursor or the record pointer will be moved forward and backward in the result set. So these are some of the methods. Normally, whenever you will have database related, in fact, in your every of your project, you will be using database connectivity. So these movements are very useful. You can create buttons and you can make them move forward and move backward by writing these methods, by writing the appropriate code. So this is what we have already finished. Now we cannot cover programs on each of this because it will consume lot of time. We already have some more things to cover. So those who want to study in detail, you can use your complete reference book and you can do the programs. There are enough number of programs there. Now let us see what are the operations that we can perform on the result set. But for that, first of all, the result set should have been made updatable. So to make it updatable, which constant we have to pass? Concurrent underscore updatable. Only then you will be able to perform these operations. What operations we can perform on the result set? We can update a value, sorry, then we can delete a value, we can also insert a new record. So let us see one by one. For updating the value of a particular field in a record. So whenever we have a record, it will be like this. So let me use the notation. Yes. So whenever I will have a record, it will be somewhere like this. So in the record, I will have different field and then the values. So here I may have the table like this. So I'm just showing you a simple. So here you may have the field heading, suppose, and these are the values. So like this, first record, second record, it will go on down. So like this, I may have different values. Now, what I'm trying to tell is, suppose you want to update a particular value in a record. So for that, first of all, you have to be present in that particular record. So first, using the above methods, what I have shown, rs.next.rs.previous, you will have to move to that particular record set. For example, you have to update the second record. So you'll first move to the second record, taking one of the methods. After coming here, you will be able to update. So for updating a particular value, for example, you may want to update the first column value or the second or the third. So whichever column value you want to update, for that you will be using this code. So let us see how to update the values in a row. For updating the values in a row, we have to make use of the method called as update along with the data type. For example, if we are updating the value of a field which accepts the string value, you will be saying update string. So in case my field data type is integer or the numeric, I'll be saying update int. Fine. So here is one example shown. Now this update method accepts two parameters. First parameter is the column name and second parameter is the value which you want to update. That means original value you need not mention here. You have to update the new, you have to mention the new value which you want to assign it to the specified column. For example, RS is the result set name, result set object name, and then you say update string because the data type of that column which you want to update is string. Which column we want to update? That is name, that is specified as the first parameter, and to which value we want to modify. Then you have to write the new value here. So the name of that particular current record. So wherever this update string will execute, it will work on the present record. So in your record set, you should move to that particular record, then only you have to update. So is this clear to you? Update and then the uh, data type. There is one more method called as update null. What does update null do is, update null accepts only one parameter, that is the column name. It will set the specified column's value to null. So it will update the specified column's value to null. It will set. For example, if you have set rs.update name, rs.update null name, then what will happen? The current record's name will be set to null. So this is how update null method uh, updates the value of the specified field to null. So then the next update row. So suppose as I shown you in the previous page, here you have a record in which you might have many values. So suppose when you update by saying the method, by using the method update string, update int, update string. So there may be many. Suppose this is a string, this is an integer, then again this is a string. So likewise, you may update multiple values in the same record. So after you have updated individual values, finally you want to update the entire record. In the sense, whatever changes you have done, you want to make them permanent. Then in that case, you will be using a method called as update row. It is always recommended that whenever we use update string or update null, we should use update row also. After we have modified individual values, it's better to update the entire row once. So here is one example. Of course, that example doesn't seem much logical, but still. Uh, Now, suppose in my table I want to update a particular record's name. So these are the connectivity steps. I have loaded the driver, then I created connection object, then I created statement object, and I have made it updatable. So this is very important. So whenever you show any updation, you have to open the result set in the updatable manner. Otherwise, it will not work. Then I have just executed the query select staff from employee, and all my employee records have arrived or are stored in the result set whose name is RS. Now from this result set, what I want to do, if rs.next. So I'm just, if the next record exists. See here, I have not used a loop. Presently, I may be at one particular pointer. I'm just checking whether my next record exists. If it exists, I want to update the next record's name to Sham. So I'm using rs.update string because the data type is string. Then I specify the column and I specify the value. So once I have updated the individual value, it's better, as I told you, I have must update the row, and then I give a message. I'm just printing the updated value here. rs.getString1, rs.getString2. So whichever are the columns. So here it is name and here it is phone number from the employee table. So it will print. So and then I can close the connection. So this is not happening in the while loop. I have just checked whether the next record exists, and only when it exists, I'm just going to modify it. Clear? You can skip this part and you can even say rs.update string to modify the current record. But actually, as I told you, by default, the initial record pointer would be pointing to the 0th. That means it would be standing before the uh, what you can suppose this is the record set. Want to use? Suppose this is the record set. Always my row pointer would be pointing above the first record. So if you just directly before saying next, if you try to update, nothing will be updated and you may get an error. So always it is important that you move to the next record. So next will take you to the very first and then you update. So that's why I'm checking whether the record exists and then I'm trying to update. Clear? So this was the example. Then for deleting a row, similarly, as you use your update method, similarly here we make use of delete row. As you all know that whenever I have my table or the record set, I cannot delete a single value. You may be able to update a single value, but you cannot delete a single value. For example, if I have multiple values here, you can't delete a single value, isn't it? You will have to delete the entire row itself. This is the specialty of the delete command. So that's why here we have the method called as delete row. We don't have delete string or delete int. We have to delete the entire row and we have to specify which row to delete. So delete row If you do not specify parameter 0, uh, then that 0th parameter indicates that you want to delete the current row. By standing at one particular, whenever you, whatever may be your record pointer position, you want to delete a particular record, then you have to specify that record number by passing it as a parameter like this. So this is how you can delete a particular record in a result set. If you want to insert, so insertions normally happen at the end. So they are like appending to the existing record. So insert row is a method, and you have to pass the values like this. So before insert row, what you have to do is, yeah, instead of update row, here you will have to just make it as insert row. In your notes also, I will have to modify. So rs dot insert row. Before inserting a new row, you will have to again update the individual values. So you need not say rs dot next and just say update string, and then say insert row. So these updated values will be inserted as the new row. So the program, we can work on this if time permits later. So this is how you can insert, update and delete a record from the record set. So this was all about the operations on the record set. Theoretically, you may be asked a question how you can or what update operations you can perform on a record set if asked. Probably it may not be asked. Only the important questions are covered from this because it is very much in detail. Okay, now one question from this transaction processing is usually asked. Let us see. What do you mean by a transaction? So several times I have told you, in a real-time life or in a real life, whenever we take the example, one database operations do not happen. Normally those database operations are formed or they are performed in a group. I'll give you an example here. A transaction may consist of many tasks in the sense many statements in a group. For example, depositing a check in the bank includes deducting the amount from the giver's account and crediting the amount in the receiver's account. So we have to debit from one account and then only we can credit it into another account. Now suppose by chance if the first transaction or first command gets executed and second command fails. Sometimes it also happens with us that our amount get debited from our account, but it doesn't get credited into the account where we want to credit it. If that fails, then after some time you might have observed that again whatever debited amount is there from our account, it automatically gets credited back. So how does it happen? So for that there is a rule of transaction. So transaction processing, earlier it was there in detail uh, in DBMS, but now it is not there. But just you have to understand the rule of the transaction is always in a transaction where the group of commands or group of statements are performed. If one of the statement fails, then all the previous statements which are executed successfully, they are also rolled back. So there are basically two commands related to the transaction. If all the commands in a transaction gets executed successfully, then we execute one command called as commit. If something fails, we also undo the previous operations. So transaction never happens half. It either it either performs completely or it is not performed at all. This is the rule of transaction. So you can see from this diagram initial state. So this is before updation. When the transaction begins, if all the statements in the transaction get executed successfully, then we commit. If something fails, we roll back and we go back to the previous state, initial state again. So for this, basically there are some methods which are used. First method is commit. What does commit do? It completes all the transaction, it saves all the transaction. Rollback cancels the transaction till the last commit. So far I have, of course, I don't teach DBMS to you people. In 4B, whenever I have taught them commit and rollback. So what does rollback do? Rollback will roll back till the last commit. That's what I have told. But initially we tell like that because we can't cover it in detail. But now here we can come to know there is one more point, one more, what you can say, command called as set save point. In the sense what? So let me just tell you one example here. I want to insert a table at this particular point. Okay. Suppose this is the table. Now what I do is I have updated here, then I have updated here, and then I have updated. So when I have updated here, I am sure that these two updations are correct. And then once it is correct, either I can say commit or I can even set a save point. So that set save point is done with using this method. You can execute this method even at the SQL prompt. So how you can execute that method? Set save point, and you have to give the name of the save point. So once you give the name of the save point, like this, you can set several milestones. For example, here, assume that here I have given save point 1. So I'll just say SP1, and then this is suppose SP2, and let us assume that this is SP3. Now suppose I want to roll back. Normally, rollback will roll back only till the last commit. It can't roll back before that. This is what we know. So, I mean, up to now. But here, rollback can also be rolled back to the specified save point. For example, if I want to roll back all my transaction till my save point 3, so I can say rollback and then I say save point 3. Then it will automatically roll back all this and it will take me to the position where I have created a save point 3. So like this, rollback can also roll back till the last save point. So this was the additional thing what I wanted to teach you. Anyways, so you may not, yeah, so much in detail they will not ask exam point of view, but yeah, for your information you should know. Commit means saves, rollback means cancels till the last commit or till the last save point. Set save point defines the task of the transaction at which the rollback should stop. So it's like you can name those points, and you can create several save points. You can also release the save point whatever you have created. For example, you didn't want that save point to be there what you have created previously, so you can release or delete that save point. The method used is release save point. Yes. And then uh, by default, suppose every transaction if you want to be committed, then you can use this method called as set auto commit, and then you can say true. That means automatically whatever commands you execute, they will be committed by default. So this is also you can use even this. um, yeah, so if you want to use such program, or if you want to give this program, the program will remain same like before. uh, we can use the same program where we have inserted a record or updated a record, and after we have inserted the record we can just say rs dot commit, so that will commit the value. So it is always a good recommended process that after you update or insert new record you should commit, otherwise the record will not be saved permanently. So this was all about transaction processing. So exam point of view, if they ask you the commands related to transaction processing in JDBC, you'll be writing commit, rollback. This is very easy to remember. Then another command is set save point, and similarly you have release save point. Then there is one more fifth command, that is method, I mean to say, that is set auto commit, and then you have to pass the boolean value whether you want to make it true or false. So these are the 5 methods of the transaction. Then the last part which I want to cover is metadata. As last time I have told you, metadata is nothing but the data about data, such as username, constraints, or the number of columns in a database, etc. All this is metadata. This metadata is of two types. Now, you have to understand that whenever, now suppose I'll just show you with the annotation again. Suppose here is my Oracle. So I just type here. This is my Oracle. That means it is my database. And this is my Java. Now, using my JDBC program, I have fetched the values from my database. So from my database, actually my employee table exists here in the Oracle initially. And now with my JDBC program, I have got that employee records into the data set here. So somewhere here is my employee result set now. Whatever actions I will perform on that, will get reflected. In case my database is updatable, it will also update the values in the Oracle table. So you understand this is Oracle and this is Java. So the database which exists here, it is the data about this database is called as database metadata. So this is called as database metadata. And whatever result set exists here, this particular result set, and if you want to find a metadata about it, then that kind of metadata is called as result set metadata. So you can understand metadata is of two types. One is database metadata and second is result set metadata. Yeah. So database metadata, when we mean to say, it will fetch the values from the Oracle database and it will give us the information. And when we want to know the information about the result set which is fetched into my Java program, then we we identify it as result set metadata. So like these two types have got different methods associated with that. So let us first understand about the database metadata. So database metadata, to deal with this metadata, we have a special interface called as database metadata, similar to our classes. Now this database metadata, we can create instance of it and we can retrieve the information about my database, what tables are there in my database, what columns it has got, what indexes it has got, etc. So let us see how to create the object of database metadata. Database metadata object can be created by calling get metadata method of connection object. So as we create our statement object, similarly we can create database metadata object. The name I have given as DBM indicates database metadata, and it gets created when I call get metadata method of connection object. So con.getMetadata will give me a metadata object, database metadata object, and that will be created. I have to give that class name, then object name, and then it will get created like this. Got it? Always remember whenever we create object of the interface. So many of you might have got this question. Interfaces cannot be instantiated. Interface ka object we cannot create. But then how we are creating? So whenever we come across any interface whose object we are creating, we are not using new. You can understand here. We are not using new. That means new and then the constructor will not be present for the interface. So whenever any reference of it we create, we always create it with the help of any other class and its methods. Sometimes they are also known as factory methods. What do they mean? We will cover it in our networking chapter. Anyways, right now let us know that we can create a database metadata object by using get metadata method of connection. Once we have got the DBM, which information, what type of information we can access from the metadata, we can find the username. There could be multiple usernames. It will also retrieve. So I have to say dbm dot get username. It will give me the name of the user. Then get database product name, whether it is Oracle or SQL Server or MySQL. All this product name also it will give when I say dbm dot get database product name. Then get URL. If you want to know where is your database stored, suppose if it is stored somewhere on the different PC, then it will also give me the address of that database by using this command. Then get tables. As you all know, data. Okay, I have taught in B division when I taught DBMS that normally a database means a collection of many tables. For example, in your textbook they have taken the case study of company database, in which we have employee table, then we have department table, then we have project table, we have works on table, we have dependent table. All this is under the one database called as company database. So similarly, whenever we create a database metadata object, that will refer to the entire database. So in the entire database, we may have multiple tables. And if you want to know information about all those tables, I can just make use of the method called as get tables. Then get primary keys. From each of the table, we may have multiple primary keys. So we can get those by saying get primary keys. Similarly, if you have created procedures in our DBMS, so using PLSQL program, if you create procedures and you want to know all those procedures which are there available in my database, I can get those by using get procedures. Is it clear about database metadata? Yeah, similarly, result set metadata. See, these methods are not common. They are little different. Result set metadata has got some limited methods which we can access information from, because result set means whatever data we have got in my result set. It will not have any associated username. It will not have any primary key associated. So it will have only this information. So what is that? Let us see. Before that, how to create result set metadata? Again, the same method of the same method, but it is not of connection object. We have to use a get metadata method of result set object, and that will give us result set metadata. Earlier one was database metadata, that is the information from the Oracle database. Here it is going to give me the information of that result set which is fetched into the Java program. And how to create it or how to access it? First we have to create result set metadata object. How to create this object? By using record sets get metadata method. Is it clear? So once we have created this object, we can use these methods. There is one method called as get column count. It will just tell me the number of columns which are there in my result set. Suppose my result set contains only name and phone number. So this method will return the value 2. Then get column name. So if I pass the column number here, 1, then it will give me the name of that column. Similarly, it can get the column type, data type of that column, it can get using get column type. So for that, I have given one program here. This is about database metadata. I have created the object and I have just tried to display. Driver name you can display using database driver name, driver version, username, then product name. So there are many more methods which are given in your database. You can again add those. For result set metadata, I will add 2 more methods so that even if it is asked for 5 marks, we should have sufficient number of methods. Just remind me, for result set metadata,